I doubt I shall ever forget the strange series of events that led to my meeting young Vulcan. The peoples of the world had been fearfully whispering about the Ice Lords for the past 10 years, though of course, they had been present long before then. The Deadwalker army, an endless horde of undead creatures under the Ice Lord's command, swept down from the mountains in the north, annihilating all resistance on the continent. Each battle only served to swell their ranks with the defeated dead, and the bloodless world seemed ready to sink into an endless ice age where there would be no place for the living. There were a few who still tried to stand against the invaders. The elves, who had hitherto remained neutral, and the red scribes, a small group of scholars who believed their knowledge might be able to tip the scales. The scribes had recently engaged the services of a group of mercenaries known as the Freeborn Blades, a renowned company who would become even more so after these events. The Blades were to protect them while they performed a ritual which was intended to change the course of the war.
Hello, and welcome to episode 10 of A Pile of Shame, the Backlog Logs, the GOG chapters. Today, I have finally reached the 10th game finished or played over 5 hours to try for real. That means two things. One, I can buy a new game, finally. And two, I'm taking a break from this for a moment, but not a long break. Let's get down to it. Today we're taking a look at Bound by Flame, which I bought in October of 2023, staying on the pile for 2 years. Not a long time. This one was special. Bound by Flame was developed by Spiders in 2014 for PlayStation 3 and 4, Xbox 360, and PC, and it was published by Focus Entertainment. This game is an adventure RPG similar to The Witcher, but simpler. I draw this comparison only because I had just finished Witcher 2 when I started this one, so pardon if you disagree. And before I get started with this one, I have a few things to say. Spiders, although not a prolific nor super popular developer, is indeed a good team. Long ago I played a game they had made before Bound by Flame called Mars the Log Wars. It was one of the few games I bought digitally for my Xbox 360 back in the day, and I loved it from beginning to ending. The atmosphere of that game and the jank made it very unique. And here, in Bound by Flame, we have much the same. So, although I have no previous history with Bound by Flame, I do have a love story with Spiders, who also went on to produce Greedfall, Steel Rising, and something called Technomancer, all of which are in my backlog. Anyways, onto the subject at hand, Bound by Flame. In this game, the world is being devastated by the Ice Lords, and a group of newbie magicians decide to operate a ritual to help them fight these Ice Lords. They hire the Freeborn Blades, a band of mercenaries, to protect them as they move to a temple to perform the ritual. The main character, Vulcan, is a Freeborn Blade and is the powder master of the mercenaries, meaning you can make explosive traps. Now, the first thing you will notice in this game, especially if you're playing as the female version of Vulcan, is the amount of swearing and foul language used in every single cutscene. And it's even more jarring when it's delivered by the female version. I don't know if it's her deadpan delivery or the overall bitchy mood she gives to the character, but it was extremely unpleasant to hear her talking with that arrogant, resting bitch voice. It was exhausting after a while. The rest of the cast does not fare much better, even though most of them don't necessarily curse so much. It's quite clear they are at their first arms, and that's fine. But it does make for odd reads and weird inflections. Still, it's good enough to create a vibe in the game. There are a few people who really nail their characters, like Edwin, Mathras, and the final boss, Frostbane. Wait, Frostlord? Blackfrost. Yes, Lord Blackfrost. They have good reads and their characters do shine better than others. Which brings me to the characters. During the game, you can take a single companion on your adventures through the world of Vertiel and its 3 chapters, another parallel to The Witcher. Sybil, the Red Scribe, a healer and fire spellcaster. Relmar, the Elf, who is an archer, of course. Ranval, the Knight, who speaks in third person, except when you ask him why he speaks in third person. Edwin, the half-naked magician, and Mathras, the immortal and spellcaster as well. Each character will offer a variety of side quests and possible endings for you to reach. There are more NPCs out there, but most of them are temporary and not worthy of mention in this video. Continuing with the graphics, although everything looks nice, some facial animations leave much to desire, and some snowed areas are just way too bright, even in low brightness. In dark areas, the character will automatically turn on a magical light around themselves, but you can turn it off, and it's basically better most of the time. One, because you can actually see better with the light off, and two, because enemies can detect you more easily when you have the light turned on. It is possible to negate that with a skill, but I just kept it turned off, unless I was in an area trying to find something very small, or a specific corner of a room. The sound in this game is very nice. Aside from the read quality, the voices are very well presented, the music is very atmospheric, although it can feel a bit repetitive, and the sound effects are very good. Sound cues for different skills activating or items being used are nice and clear, and enemy sounds are quite indicative of attacks or proximity to you. It all sounds very well and very clear. I don't know that I will listen to the soundtrack outside the game, but at least a couple of songs are actually quite relaxing and give off a soothing vibe. I quite like it. With those passive points out of the way, let's talk gameplay. It's good. Now on keyboard it took me a while to get used to it. It's possible to get it done, but the game was designed to be played with a controller, so you are better off doing so. I really enjoyed playing it, and controlling the character overall. Running around feels satisfying and quick, animations are smooth, and I only saw a weird animation a couple of times, but I can't remember exactly when. It was something like a shaky leg or something, nothing that breaks the spell of the game. The combat is fine enough with some quirks and issues. The basics are responsive and work well, simple attack, a secondary attack, and a few tools and spells. Now let's get into the details. Combat is a very intense part of this game, as it sells itself as a game that requires full attention to every single combat in order to get the upper hand in every encounter you may have. You are equipped with 2 melee weapons at all times. A two-handed weapon, which can be a sword, an axe, or hammer, and daggers. The sword's main attack will target a single foe, and the secondary attack will hit all enemies around you, which is quite useful as many times the enemies, the Deadwalker armies, and monsters of other types will try to gang up on you. The dagger's secondary attack is a burst of slashing attacks that cause good damage to a single enemy. The knives are much faster than the two-handed weapon, but they cause a lot less damage initially. You can also set traps which knock enemies off their feet, and you can use a crossbow to attack enemies from a distance, but as far as I know, that is only useful initially. Once you end the prologue of the game, you will unlock spells, which include imbuing your weapon with flames for extra damage, a fireball for distance combat, a shield spell, and an area of effect spell. All of these, or most of these, can be improved by leveling up and crafting. The leveling system is super simple and easy to understand. You have 3 job trees, one for the two-handed weapon, identified as warrior, one for the daggers, identified as ranger, and one for the flame spells, identified as pyromancer. One big advantage of the daggers is that you can sneak behind enemies wielding them and do backstabs for very large damage, even killing enemies with one blow depending on the weapon you have equipped. It is good and fast, but in large groups it leaves to be desired. On leveling, you also get 1 skill point that can be distributed between 3 different types: exploration, combat, and crafting. There are some skills that are useless in there, but most of them are used. The crafting system was touted as very expansive and very customizable, but honestly, it isn't. Even back for its release date of 2014, these customization options were not that amazing. You can craft a couple of items onto weapons and armors, including two-handed weapons, daggers, crossbows, chest plates, boots, and gloves. You have helmets in the game, but they can't be improved. At least not the ones I found anyways. I ended up using the same pieces for most of my equipment, as I wanted to have the same effects every single time. Maybe having a variety of weapons could be good, but I cannot know. Maybe in the future I can try again with a different mindset. In combat, the important thing is to stagger your enemies. That gives you a huge window to cause massive damage, but you can also be staggered. So most of the time I was focusing on making my weapons stagger enemies and my armor avoid me being staggered. Having said all that, onto the story. It's, how can I put it? It's simple. It's not trying to win any awards, but it's doing a good job. Like I said before, the world of Vertiel has been devastated by the Ice Lords, a group of necromancers who command the Dead Walker army. A group of magicians known as Red Scribes decide to perform a ritual, and during that ritual Vulcan, the main character, is invaded by a flame spirit, or a flame demon as it's called throughout. From there you have the task of accompanying the Red Scribes to the last elven stronghold of Karalthus. Your first stop is at the outpost in the swamps, the small village of Valvenor, where you aim to regroup and help the Prince of the Elves to recover from his wounds. You do some side quests, meet up with Edwin, kill some monsters, and end up finding out that the Deadwalker army has been there all along, watching you and preparing to attack. You deal with that particular issue and move on to Karalthus after the Prince recovers and helps you beat a general in combat. Once in Karalthus, you end up meeting my favorite character, Mathras, an immortal being that has been around for about 6,000 years and is often insulted by being compared to the Deadwalkers. He's curious and inquisitive, but kinda creepy, not only in appearance, but in behavior as well. He hides a lot, and ends up not telling many important things, only for the joy of it all. He claims to have met the Ice Lords when they were normal humans, known as White Lords, and he is indirectly responsible for causing this predicament, as they stole some books from his library that were then used to make them into the Ice Lords. All throughout this, the demon who was imprisoned inside you often has things to say about situations, and will try to convince you to abandon everything and everyone and march towards something called the World Heart, a mythical place that not many believe exists in order to clear it and destroy the Ice Lords' powers. Once you clear out of Karalthus, you find yourself in the keep of Lord Blackfrost, the only Ice Lord you will ever see or fight in this game. One of the few disappointments in my opinion. When they said there were 7 of them, I thought we were about to embark on an epic quest to eliminate them one by one, but all we need is to gain access to the World Heart to stop them. So with that goal set, I embarked on my way. I may have gotten the neutral ending. I listened to the demon and Edwin, and did my best to get to the World Heart quickly, but never at the cost of other people's lives. In my playthrough, that resulted in Edwin leaving the party, but I was sure I wanted to save the world, not destroy it. Throughout the game, thanks to the laughable deliveries of certain lines, most scenes are downplayed or straight boring. But there are a few that shocked me, such as Ellis, the leader of the Red Scribes, just dying in the early hours of the game. It came out of nowhere, and for a moment I couldn't believe it had happened. It was so abrupt, and ended up being brushed aside so quickly. It was very harsh. Another moment in the story that was truly heart-wrenching was in Karalthus, the Elven city. When we arrived there, we discovered that the city was attacked by Black Frost and frozen almost entirely, killing most of the people inside. The prince asks us to find the king, and we oblige. But much to our horror, the king has been mutated into a horrifying amalgamation of his own mind and the minds and bodies of the nobles, and the queen too. It is a horrifying moment, and the fact that the king has not been corrupted, but has been holding on to hope of seeing the prince one last time, made me tear up. The prince goes on to liberate them from that horror it existed, and I proceeded to absorb its carcass to increase my powers. It's an odd and jarring way to end this scene, but it still made it so it was very tragic. At the end of the day, Bound by Flame is by no means a masterpiece. It has its faults and jank, but it definitely is worth the playthrough, at least once, if not twice or more. The crafting system is accessible, the leveling system is simple, the combat is engaging, the graphics are nice, the music is fantastic, and the fun is on point. But I would avoid playing as the female Vulcans. Seriously, it's so jarring. On the next episode, we shall see. I will take a break from these videos, but not because I'm not having fun. I want to focus on other things as well. Once I'm done with those other projects, expect to see 10 more games getting played. And maybe I will make a single massive video with all the games one after another. Who knows? This way there is only one release with a long runtime, and maybe the YouTube algorithm will be happy. See you next year.
I honestly believe we'd stay out of this damn war till the end. Well, looks like the end just showed up. The Ice Lords have really done it this time. All of Vertiel is on the brink. Nothing is going to stop the Deadwalkers. Soon there won't be a town left to fall back to. Or even a tavern where you can spend your pay. There's no one left to turn back this filthy, stinking tide. Even if it were possible. Let's hope our beloved employers can deliver on their promises. Their famous ritual thing doesn't pan out. We're gonna be left standing here with our asses in our hands.